Yeah, that's something. Yeah.
Monday, December 12th, 2016, 7 p.m. Opening prayer, Reverend Sarah Taylor Peck, North Canton Community Christian Church. Welcome, Reverend.
Will you join me in the spirit of prayer? Gracious God, thank you for the gifts and blessings that you poured out, for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and friendship, and for the ability to be involved in useful work, for the honor of bearing responsibility. The scriptures say that citizens should obey governing authorities, since you have established these authorities to promote peace and order and justice. So we pray for our mayor, for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this council. Give us wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests of our time, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a thirst for justice and righteousness. Give us confidence in what is good. Give us the ability to work together. Give us personal peace so that we can bring peace to others. We pray for this agenda tonight. Give us assurance of what would be good and benefiting those who live and work in our community. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll. Here. Here. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Here.
All right, thank you. First up is a presentation by Superintendent Jim Davis.
All right.
American Bloom. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is going to be kind of a quick presentation of the American Bloom evaluators that came into the city of North Canton. It was part of the program that we signed up for this year for people to come in and evaluate our city as far as a couple pieces of criteria. So in your packets should be page 1, which would be the evaluation form, which looks similar to this. Okay? So we'll just go through this. I'm going to go over this verbatim, or read this verbatim. Okay, just kind of get some highlights of this, but point out a few things that are kind of important. So, American Bloom is a national organization that goes around the cities of the U.S. and judge cities on 6 criteria. As you can see, the criteria there is floral displays, landscaped areas, urban forestry, environmental efforts, heritage preservation, and then their overall opinion on what the city is and their general impressions. every city in the nations that they evaluate go through the same criteria and they evaluate us. So, if you wanted to, you can see here they have a point system, which they do, and then there's the results of our point systems. And we'll go a little bit deeper into the point system here in each category here as we move on. All right, so the next page would be page number 2, which would be the general comments and suggestions. You know, as America in Bloom goes through our city, they just provide just some general layout of who they met, who they talked to, and some general suggestions, but the meat of it is still yet to come. Of course, my favorite part is the 4th paragraph.
I saw the front first line.
Yeah, exactly.
Visionary, you wanted to capitalize?
Yes, exactly.
That was a five-bloom answer there.
I don't know why it was not in bold.
Five-bloom answer right there.
Is it not the case that we have 2 Jim Davises that work for the city?
Yes, yes. They should say one that does not have a Harley.
Correct, yes.
So anyway, let's go and get into the meat of the thing. So let's go to floral displays, which would be page number 3. You know, one of the things, just the overall concept really quick with North Canton was they were very pleased and excited for what we've done so far as a council, as administration, to the mayor, to the people that work for us every day, and also for the residents that do things. And with floral displays is something that we want to target here in 17, as you can tell in the budget, some of the things that we have. They did like a lot of floral displays that we do have. As we go through each one of these criteria, one thing that rings true or rings common in all these is community involvement. Okay, as you can see here, community involvement, volunteering involvement in design, planning, and maintenance of floral displays, and financial contributions. As I go to conferences in different cities, throughout the year, I'm always taking pictures of their floral displays. I always talk to the people that are literally watering the plants. Say, how do you do this? How do you get paid? Who do you get paid by? What's your organization about? And all that type of stuff. Like Cincinnati has planters there in front of all the businesses. And here, of course, they're run by they have a third party. It's like a nonprofit organization that takes care of all their urban forestry and city forestry. And their target is that each business puts out a planter with flowers in it. And each business themselves takes care of the planting, takes care of the watering, and all that type of stuff. So they have the businesses and community involved in front of as far as their streetscapes. That's maybe a target or an objective or a goal that we would like to set at some particular time. But as we run through this, just keep note of that particular item as we go through. They've taken a couple pictures of some floral displays. They really were excited about that house there at the corner of Mark Court and 7th Street. I think it is right at the corner, right by the creek. They always have a bunch of hanging baskets there. I don't know the resident that lives there down the street. Yeah, beautiful display of flowers all the time. Hanging baskets on the garage and everything. So that's that. And they were really excited about the garden club activity, which we continue to do through the park. Okay, so let's go to page number 6, would be landscape areas. Page number 6, which would be item number 2, which would be landscape areas. So one of the things that we didn't have for this was the courtyard for the Civic Center. We didn't have this project completed, so I'm excited to show them the finished product of that piece. The fountain and the plants and that type of stuff. But we did have the Civic Center itself done with the landscape areas. And one of the things that we've been doing down at the Civic Center, or the Civic Center, and any new planting we do, we have automatic watering systems. So whenever we have a water job, and we have an opportunity to put a planter in, similar like at the YMCA, not the YMCA, but the Dogwood pool that's run by the YMCA, greatest silence in Dogwood, you'll see a planter and a tree and all that stuff. Well, when we did the Dogwood Avenue water job, we made a water tap specifically with this in mind, saying, okay, we were going to put a meter there with an automatic watering system and let plants flourish. If you notice, if you ever walk around the Civic Center during the summer, especially this summer when it was really hot, the plants were so robust, they were full, the leaves were green, because we have automatic watering systems for that. We don't have to rely on summer helpers. We've seen how that works out. Even if you dedicate people to that, it's labor, it's manpower, it's equipment, it's all that type of stuff. We've totally eliminated all that. The only maintenance we have, of course, is turn on and turn off during the seasons, in the spring and the fall. So landscaping, as you can see there, you can read through that particular item, but I'm really excited to show them the new Civic Center. Okay, the next piece, which would be item 9, urban forestry. They love the age of the trees. They loved it so much that they're wanting us to apply for a Tree City USA. So towards the end of this month or in January, we're going to apply for that and become one of the cities that are recognized throughout the United States for our aged trees, the number that we have. They also have an opportunity to see the cucumber tree. So they were real excited about that. So then the next thing was the environmental efforts. They love the recycling piece. Okay, all the green cans that we see in the parks, our initiatives for recycling, our curbside recycling, and they were really excited about all that. Our cleanup days, I told them about this first year. Folks spearheaded the city cleanup in April. I think that was along with Earth Day. Heritage preservation. Okay. Heritage preservation. We took a tour through the Heritage Society, the Hoover Building, everything like that. It's just the historical value, the guardhouse, what it took to move that from the Hoover Company over to across the street. And then also, too, the turnaround of the Hoover facility that's going on right now. So, in a couple of years or whenever that project gets completed, the activity that's going to happen right downtown. One of the things that they would like to see us do, they have the statue of Boss Hoover there at History Park. They would like to see us do some more art type stuff. That was one of the recommendations. Okay, and then the last piece, pretty much the overall pre-compression. As you can see, we got quite a few marks there in overall cleanliness, the business, the residential piece. Thank you to you guys for the new street sweeper that we've gotten this year. Okay, that made a huge impact. Okay, we were able to put a full-time employee in there, running 5 days a week, all summer long. But also notice too what we talked about earlier about community involvement. Okay, that small piece of like low-hanging fruit, and we're doing it in a slow manner. We're progressing to do that, but I think that's something to keep as a goal and keep in our sites as programs and things that we do now. We try to do as much as possible with non-profit organizations that do cleanup time down at Price Park and different things like that, and Boy Scout projects and different things like that.
Well, we have some Boy Scouts in the back, and they're always looking for service projects, right, Scouts?
Yeah. Awesome.
So we definitely should get them on a schedule for regular routine stuff when they do their hours, especially that little redhead back there.
So, you know, as we talk about things and sidewalks and maintenance and different things, community involvement and business involvement with our sidewalks downtown and different kind of things. Those are kind of like low-hanging fruit. I think we have an opportunity for this year. So, I'm not going to read the rest of that, but that's pretty much what they do. They come in and evaluate on us, the city, on all those criteria. Phenomenal job. They say that compared to other cities in the U.S., we are far above our very first year of the program. And over 50% of the cities that they visit throughout the year. So they have a lot of kudos for us for what we do already. And, you know, we've only reached, you know, the tip of the beautification process that we can still do. So I'm excited about that. So they liked us so much that they have an awards banquet in California. Okay, I didn't feel that was necessary for me to go. But I don't think Administrator Grimes would have let me go. Yeah, he wouldn't approve it.
It's probably a lot cheaper just mailing it.
Yeah, he would have questioned a 2-week conference. I'm not quite sure. But anyway. So, we got nationally recognized from American Bloom. Okay.
Where's that going to go?
In recognition of your community's urban forestry. So this is a national recognition that we have received at the California conference. So I'll pass this around, and I just want to say thank you guys for your support and what we do in the trees and plantings, and I'm looking forward to 17.
Where are we going to post that?
I think we all deserve a round.
And then I have something special for Mr. Soretta. We got a street sign.
It doesn't have any flag on it.
Where are we going to put it?
I don't know.
We'll have a meeting about that.
Where the new floral display goes.
That's cool.
I'll set this here.
Okay.
That's nice. Well,
So Jim, will they come back then next year? And then do we pay them a fee? This is a fee program?
Yes, it's like a membership to join,
Okay.
and I don't have the exact fee price, but that's part of what we sign up for, and that's part of the fee is the evaluation.
Okay. Because there's a lot of good information here. And a lot of tips and
So would you say overall the bottom line is we're short on volunteers?
Not volunteers. We have an opportunity to capture community involvement. So as we progress through our programs, how do we do that?
do you have access to other cities that have scored well? Like, can you see other ideas? Do they have a
Yes.
database you can go through? And
Yes. Yeah, and they send out all kinds of stuff. They send out weekly newsletters and different things. So it's actually pretty exciting once
Yeah.
you get involved with it. And how I got involved with this was I reach out and talk to people to see how they do things. And when I went up to visit Akron, Bob Hahn up there, they have actually an urban forester up there on staff. And he's the one that got me turned on to this program. And just a wealth of information and knowledge. You know, when you reach out to different places to see how they do things, that's how we get ideas.
yeah. It is amazing when you go through certain cities. You know, we always talk about the traffic that goes through, and if you have hanging baskets, if you have displays that make sense. I mean, I think of Sandusky. I think you're a fabulous job, but there are flowers and make shapes and different things. You slow down, you stop, you evaluate, you want to pull over, and you want to see what that city has going on. So this is the start of that, I think. I mean, this is great. It's great to see how high we are already.
Yeah, so There's a lot of preparation. There's 2 days of itinerary that I have to put together for them. We'll do
Yeah, I
the
saw
same
that.
thing. Yeah, so we'll do that again. So we'll repeat the steps and see what we've improved throughout the upcoming year and get reevaluated, of course, because we want to strive to be better.
Yeah, that's great.
So, any other questions as far as American?
And some comments. Well, I want to thank Councilman Sorrell for his efforts on Main Street, this council for supporting a lot of infrastructure throughout the parks. I mean, we have a beautiful park system here, and I think we do a lot of things right. And it's nice to work with everybody here and take those positive steps forward. You know, to come out of this just 1 point short of Fort Blooms initially is probably unheard of in this system. And they did come to the park board meeting. As you can see, they visited July 18th and 19th. We did meet the 2 judges. They were very nice. And then obviously Mike and Jim and Kathleen took them out. But there's so many positive things here. And I know there's things we can build on, which is good. There's always room for improvement, as we know. But I wanted to go to one page directly because I know it's just affected us here recently. Page 10, and they did this over the summer. If you look at the middle page, and I'll read this because I know a lot of residents are upset, and I sympathize with them as well as the rest of the council about what's happening to the trees. And I'll read this, just right out of the report. They did this in July. North Canton has a limited number of street trees, a direct result of inadequate room in a grassy strip between the sidewalk and curb for trees to thrive. You know, Woodrow has a 3 or 4 foot, maybe 5 foot area there in some spots as a curb lawn. Woodrow Street is an exception, but the generous planning zones are compromised on the north side of the street where utility lines interfere, as we see. We recommend that you continue planting trees in the strips along the south side of Woodrow, using the right tree, right place guidelines. And obviously what that means is you put a tree, knowing the crown of the tree, the width of the tree, how large the tree is going to be, in the right spot, so that we don't have to have trees cut severely back, or some cases we could say butchered, because that's what it looks like when you come through and just take a third of the tree away. So I think that's very important that they recognize that street already as far as what was happening. And pursue your idea of creating a cost share program with property owners on the north side of the street to plant trees in their front yards, and say the curb line, in their front yards as near the sidewalk as part of the tree selection and planting guidelines permit. They refer to the Alliance Club for Trees and homeowners helping to water and mulch the trees and keep them in good shape too. But I thought that was very insightful that we're going to deal with in the very near future, how we're going to address that neighborhood. They had beautiful trees there. They're now starting to see, as Councilman Griffith knows, you plant the trees you cut in your front yard down, let alone the 2 or 3 trees on the curb line. I mean, that's been a drastic change in your environment. I think we're all going to work towards a positive thing to happen there. But it was just nice to see a snapshot from a very expertise group of judges that judge all these cities that bring this to our attention, which are new, but just nice to see how it's in this report too, that we can refer to. So thank you for your efforts, administration and council. I'm very proud of what we do, and this is just something we see what we've done here in the past, and hopefully we'll improve it in the future and get to a 4 bloom next time, or 5.
Yeah, so that's our goal.
Appreciate that.
So part of,
As far as flowers, you know, Jim and I have talked about that. I know the garden club contacted me, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. They want to do something also, but our biggest thing is who waters them, who takes care of them. And Jim has some ideas. I mean, some of these people in Akron, but they have a whole system where they have all the big, huge things that carry water, and they water them all the time and everything, and it's paid for by wherever that money comes from. But if we could get a group, you know, together, and they work on donations and that kind of thing, that would be, you know, probably the best way we, you know, to have. And it's a big deal too, because you get one dry period, they're done. These flowers, you got to plant the right flowers too, that can handle the heat and everything. Because you miss a couple of water days, they're done. Because you got to have that soil just right and everything. So it's kind of a big deal. So I'd love to see that happen. We just start with a couple corners and then expand out probably.
So real quick, part of that, you know, we talked about the signs and stuff, and part of your package that you did receive were also two artist renditions of the signs, which was part of, you know, which was discussed in the American Bloom package. So just to talk about them, touch on them lightly. I'm not quite sure what order you're looking at. I mean, probably page 2 would be the double column one. That's the one right now that's going at Price Park. So it's going to look similar to that. Yes.
Nice.
Okay, and then the material is this. It's going to look like this. It's kind of like a poly material, and the letters are going to stand out similar to that.
Nice.
So it's a weatherproof type material that's low maintenance, but it's going to look very nice. So just keep in mind, when you look at these designs, these are just artist renditions. But this, I wanted to kind of clarify, we had some discussion about what the signs were going to look like and everything, so I wanted to bring the sample and compare both signs, what to expect.
I've had a few comments from citizens that are concerned. They like the sign, they just think it's so much money, and why does it cost so much money? Do we really have to do that fancy of a sign? You know, that came up a few times. So how do you address that typically?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. We got foundations, we have masonry work, we have this particular type of fibrous material, electric lighting, and stuff like that. So I mean, there's money that goes into this. Is it going to be necessarily exactly that much as we budget? No. You know.
So is it maintenance free? We don't have to mess with this for years and years and years.
We'll have plantings around it that we would have to take care of course. But yes, it's maintenance free, you know, as much as possible. And then also too, to keep in with the theme of the city. I mean, we could have gone a cheaper route, you know, and just put a sign in and plastic and whatever. But you know, we felt that you guys are doing great strides into making an organized effort and making a common theme in our entrance signs and everything. Why should this be any different?
Well, I think we can think of the parts too, that they're visited, there were people go, there were you bring your family, your friends, out-of-town guests. So you want it to stand out. You want it done right.
People will be proud of it.
We can do it wrong 4 times,
Right.
or we can do it right 1 time. And I think overall, that's a safety expense when you look at it that way.
The old Zig Ziglar thing, I can tell you one time why my price was so high, instead of telling you over and over and over again why my quality was so low. And I wouldn't do that, but so that's it.
You always have somebody that's going to complain about the cost, regardless of how much it is. So you want to be good, you want to feel good about your community, and you want to do it right.
But yeah, I think the columns are our statement now, they're our brand.
Yeah.
And then they look at the entrances, and we're utilizing the column format here. But also, we take for granted where Price Park is, or Dogwood Park, or Louisville. People out of town, they're looking for some small sign that's inconspicuous sometimes. Here, it's lighted, it's going to stand out, it's going to let you know you're Price Park, it's the city of North Canton Parks and Recreation.
Well,
To be proud of it, it's you know, we're going.
There's Glenwood and Maplewood side. Is it one on each side, or?
This is going on the Maple side, by the pond.
Okay.
I mean, the volume of people that go there
Right.
is just
With
insane.
my kids the age they are, I've probably been there 4 dozen times. I have never been there where I haven't run into somebody who doesn't live with me. Every single time I've been there, somebody's like, oh, we're from Green, we're from Canal Fulton, we're from Minerva.
Right.
People are, I mean, it's a draw. I'm always surprised, but it's a destination.
That's right.
Any questions?
No. Very good.
Thank you.
Very good presentation, Joe. Thanks for
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Mike, we were there. Push the history, I'm sure.
All right, very good. Okay, we'll move on. Consideration. The council meeting minutes, November 14th, 2016, committee of the whole meeting minutes, November 21st, 2016. Special council meeting minutes, November 21st, 2016. Organizational meeting minutes, December 1st, 2016. Committee of the whole meeting minutes, December 5, 16. Financial statement, November 16 month-end reports, and mayor's court receipts for November 2016.
Motion to consider as presented.
Second.
Yes.
Fontaine,
Yes.
Griffin,
Yes.
Eastland,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
and Surratt.
Yes.
7 yes to approve the above reports and minutes.
Thank you. At this time, if you wish to address council, please step forward, state your name and address.
Chuck Osborne, 307 Fairview Street, Southeast, North Canton, Ohio. It's a presentation by Mr. Davis, I guess, maybe makes you guys feel good, but it doesn't cover up the fact that you allow the destruction of hundreds and hundreds of mature 60, 80-foot trees, which totally undermine the character of the downtown. I only wish that your apparent support for what Mr. Davis just presented was in the back of your head when you allow a developer to come to town and just impose his vision on what your city and my city is going to look like and be like. Sad, sad. And I'm sure Mr. Held and Mr. Grimes will probably put this in the city's website, in the city's newsletter. And people aren't stupid. They're going to see this BS. And they're going to remember all the trees that you destroyed. For what? Those trees could have been saved. I think those trees on East Maple were within the city's right of way. It just overwhelms me that he used taxpayer dollars to tear down those trees that were in the public's right of way. They greatly enhanced the entire YMCA East Maple Street character. And this city, and I'm going to Mr. Benitez now, because he knew all this was coming down the pike probably a year before we all woke up one day when those trees were devastated. Did he talk to you, Mr. Mayor, about all this destruction? You, Mr. Grimes?
You guys can have a conversation after.
I'm sorry?
You guys can have a conversation about this after that.
I'm not having a conversation. I'm just pointing them out. Mr. Soretta has such a vision for the city, and I commend him for it. Why didn't you tell the developer, this is what we want to maintain? We want to maintain our heritage. What the Hoover Company put in there. Because they knew they needed some kind of buffer, something to hide all those ugly buildings. And it was legislation that this council voted on and didn't even know what they had voted on, because for several weeks after the trees were cut down, Mrs. Keesling said, it's their trees, they can do whatever they want. I wasn't council to know what was going down. So you could weigh on it and let's have a public discussion on it. It's just sad, very sad. And it brings me to tears to this day. What you allowed to happen. For no reason. To appease a multimillionaire who doesn't give a hoot about the Hoover District over here. He has got more than his hands full to see if he can carry through that Hall of Fame village, which also is pie in the sky. What's going to happen when interest in football wanes? And it's already waning in this country. anybody that brings a project to this city, it should blend and further the heritage of this city. Don't worry, Mr. Fox, I will end when my time's up. So it's kind of a joke, the section in there about urban forestry. The section on there about heritage, maintaining your heritage. Maybe that little report makes you feel good. Doesn't make me feel good at all. And when you put it in the newsletter, people are going to say, this is a joke. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address council, please step forward, state your name and address. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to new business. May I have a motion and a second to read by title only the first reading of ordinance number 81-16.
So moved.
Second.
Fontaine,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Peasley,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Surratt,
Yes.
Folds.
Yes.
7 yes to read by title only the first reading of ordinance number 81, 2016, an ordinance amending Part 1 Administrative Code of Chapter 192 for the codified ordinances of the city of North Canton, specifically section number 92.01, authority to levy tax, purpose of tax, and including same to read in emergency.
Thank you, Chairwoman Waring.
I will let Laura talk about this, but I think this is just, we went over one tax ordinance in line with another one, and we saw this as a, we did that, so.
Sure. This is just to clean up the language so that in order to split the income tax that comes in, part of it goes to general fund and part of it goes to capital. And as we've talked about before with the budget, for the 17 budget, we have 70% general and 30% capital versus a former about 80-20 split.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Griffith,
Yes.
Peasley,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Surratt,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Fontaine,
Yes.
7 yes to adopt the first reading of ordinance number 81, 2016.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council for 3 readings for ordinance number 81-16?
So moved.
Second.
Peasley,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Surratt,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Fontaine,
Yes.
and Griffith.
Yes.
7 yes to suspend the rules of council for 3 readings for ordinance number 81, 2016.
Thank you. And a motion and a second to adopt under suspension of the rules ordinance number 81-16.
So moved.
Second.
Peters,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Surratt,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Fontaine,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
and Peasley.
Yes.
7 yes to adopt under suspension of the rules for ordinance number 81, 2016.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to read by title only the first reading of ordinance number 82-16?
So moved.
Second.
Waring,
Yes.
Surratt,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Fontaine,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Peasley,
Yes.
and Peters.
Yes.
7 yes to read by title only the first reading of ordinance number 82, 2016, an ordinance amending section 20, compensation of chapter 155, personnel regulations of part 1, administrative code of the codified ordinances of the city of North Canton to timely change the rates of compensation for North Canton Fire Department, paid part-time and special duty personnel, together with updating prorating uniform stipends for part-time employees to include the positions of Director of Administrative Services and Accountant, to include the position of Operations Manager in leave policy, and to adjust increments for personal and vacation leave and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Thank you. The title of this ordinance touches on everything. Unless there's further comment, I'll take a motion to adopt the first reading.
So moved. Second.
Surratt,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Fontaine,
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Peasley,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
and Waring.
Yes.
7 yes to adopt the first reading of ordinance number 82,
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council for 3 readings for ordinance number 82-16.
Is there a reason that we're doing it on ordinance?
Well, as far as the position of Director of Administrative Services, I think we wanted to get that in line with the budget as well.
Yeah, that would be one business for
And
the first.
the accountant position for my department.
Yeah.
Oh, that question, yes, that is important. Okay, I'll make the motion.
Second.
Peters,
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
Surratt,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Fontaine.
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
and Keesling.
Both.
That was a yes.
Both yes, I'm sorry.
7 yes to suspend the rules of council for 3 readings for ordinance number 82, 2016.
Thank you. And a motion and a second to adopt under suspension of the rules ordinance number 82-16.
So moved.
Second.
Waring,
Yes.
Surratt,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Fontaine.
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Keesling.
Yes.
And Peters.
Yes.
7 yes to adopt under suspension of rules for ordinance number 82, 2016.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to read by title only the first reading of ordinance number 83-16.
So moved.
Second.
Surratt,
Yes.
Folds,
Yes.
Fontaine.
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Keesling.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
And Waring.
Yes.
7 yes to read by title only the first reading of ordinance number 83, 2016, an ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of North Canton, Ohio, for the period beginning January 1st, 2017, and ending December 31st, 2017, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Thank you. Chairman Griffin.
This is the budget, of course. We had a robust discussion last week. Actually, I thought it went exceptionally well, and I heard a lot of very positive comments. So many thanks to all the members of the administration and all the folks who were kind enough to come and answer our questions last week. And I know people asked other questions offline. Were there other questions or concerns that need to be raised relative to the budget before we pass?
One comment, we did have the skateboard park equipment added for $5,000, give some flexibility there. Dominic, I know it's a short week. Did we get a figure at all for the sound system?
I'm
upgrade?
waiting for the call tomorrow.
Okay.
From Cleveland, and I hope to have some soon.
Is there
I'll let you know, like, we have a meeting next week, maybe by next week I'll have some.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to put you.
That's for the acoustic
The
time.
acoustic, just get the sound quality better in
Yeah.
your audience.
Yeah, I already had the conversation, it's just we have.
Good, thank you. Thank you for working on that.
Yeah.
And Mike, you got any other input?
I'm gonna try to get it quickly for you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or concerns? All right. Seeing none, I would move its approval.
Second.
Folds,
Yes.
Fontaine.
Yes.
Griffith,
Yes.
Keesling.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Waring,
Yes.
and Surratt.
Yes.
7 yes to adopt the first reading of ordinance number 83, 2016.
Thank you very much. Reports.
No report this week.
Everywhere.
No report.
Keys.
No report.
Griffin.
Wanted to make a comment about the Woodrow trees too. Obviously, it was a sad week in that respect. There wasn't very much of anything at all we could do. I thought Mike, you did a great job of at least informing people that things were going to happen. And even if we can't change the world, it's nice to hear the bad news and be prepared for it. Ironically, those big X's on the trees several weeks before it happened, I think also kind of prepared people for it as well. But I think this is true with any tragedy. What you do after is the key, right? And so as you pointed to that before, what are we going to do now is the key point. And so I think that, as you had related earlier, one of the better strategies for us is to say, hey, we can be helpful in developing best practices. We're not always going to be able to go out there and plant trees. To the extent that we can, I think, obviously everybody's supporting that. But, I'm going to put some trees in my front yard, but I don't know anything about trees other than, they make leaves that I have to clean up in the fall. So, it would be helpful if all of us along the street were giving good direction about, hey, this is the kind we should get, this is a good place for it, And then long-term, I think it's easier for us to negotiate with our friends at AEP about, hey, we did this the right way. You know, let's make sure that those trees aren't hacked up and it's not a proper issue. So I would fully be supportive of that. And obviously, the sooner we can get a plan out there to the folks in that neighborhood and our neighborhood, I think the better too. So thank you, and I look forward to what we can come up with subsequently.
Just a couple things. I thought the Christmas tree Santa celebration went off really well. Dave did a great job. And Jeff did a nice job introducing his daughter, who came through with the Merry Christmas. And I thought Dr. Novelli and the Lions people really appreciated having people like the tree and the volunteers, the chamber, you know, the typical stuff that we sometimes take for granted. They did a wonderful job. That was a nice night. So I want to commend you on the newsletter. I think you guys did a real nice job with that. And Jane, all kudos to that. Of course, I haven't been around as long as you guys, but I think that's the best newsletter I've ever seen come out of the city. So well done with that. And that's all I got.
When did you get in the mail?
What did you guys get your?
We dropped last
Friday.
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 Probably got it here Thursday.
I thought it was a weekend.
It'll be, they do it like a carrier route, so everybody in a zip code is going to get one. So that will depend. If somebody didn't get it, you will get it. So it's just a matter of when that particular mail carrier decides to send it out.
We won't know it, right?
Yeah, they've all been dropped at the post office at the same time. So it's really, some carriers for a variety of reasons will take it one day as compared to another. So every household will get one. And actually, there's a little bit of spillover. Some that are just outside the city, but in the same zip code, which is okay, because it was still cheaper for us to make the extra prints. And rather than sending a direct mail, it's better to do a saturation mail. So yeah, everyone will get one. And we do have extra copies too. So if,
I like how you segmented it, and Kurt was reading through it, and he reads the back of cereal boxes as well. So you can imagine, he reads the back of cereal boxes as well. So you can imagine how carefully he read, and he was reading all about our recycling programs and this, and it was just enough information that he wanted more. So it was really good, because hopefully people thought that, and maybe they'll reach out to us and to you guys and ask them those questions, but it's really well done.
what we're trying to do is make it so that it is an easy read.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, we went with a heavier material so that it could, you can keep it in your home as a reference.
Yeah.
And then it's like a quick read, so we made sure that there were plenty of pictures in it.
That's great.
And then also different boxes. And if you'll notice, we also, because at first we didn't have enough room, it was 16 pages, but how do we put the whole city survey in there? So Jane really is the one that, put the whole newsletter together with the help of the department heads. So she went to each one of the department heads, said what are, the top 3 questions or concerns or complaints that your department gets. So that was our list that we went on, and asked the department heads to address those concerns in their newsletter. And each department had, different issues. So, we've had a very positive response also.
I like to go on the front page. You said, why are we doing this? Well, you asked for it in your city survey. And then how we're paying for it right there. We
Yeah,
pay for it.
And that's good. I'm glad to hear it because, she put a lot, there was a lot of work, a lot of thought that went into a lot of planning. And Mike and also the other staff members, it's not like it was just whipped up by one person. One person was driving it, but a lot of other people were looking at it, reading through it, editing it. It's just a lot of work that goes into it, but I think it's going to be a positive payoff. The other thing that we plan to do, the next, we were thinking, when do we send it out?
Are you doing 2 a year?
We'd like to do 2 a year. So one in the spring and one in the fall. And so obviously we did the fall one, and then we hope to do another one in May, the spring. And we'd like to focus maybe more intensively on the emergency services, because there's a whole lot that we can cover in emergency services, police, fire, EMS, a whole variety of things. So we want to emphasize that. This time, the first time around, it was just like we covered every department in the city and tried to, give a general overview. So any ideas that any of you have, please let us know, and we're going to start laying out the next one.
Anything else, Mark? No. Mayor Foltz?
Thank you. Yeah, the other thing is it's very colorful, aesthetically, it's beautiful, so you don't want to just throw it somewhere, you want to keep it. If you get something black and white, it's, yeah, it's nice, you get some information numbers on it, but no, this is too pretty, I'm gonna put it somewhere that I can refer back to when I need to call somebody, council or the city or something like that. Maybe we get something together, if we do something for Arbor Day, or, you know, a cleanup day, environmental days. That would be right there for people to get more involved as well as volunteering. We want some direction, as Councilman Withers said, with the tree planting out there. Obviously, we want bigger trees in the front yard, about 20 feet off the sidewalk. I gave some suggestions in my experience, and a lot of good maples, Autumn Blaze, Celebration, October Glory. There's this nice narrow tree, Armstrong maple, that's 15 feet wide, over 30 feet tall. You want the larger trees to grow up over the canopy. 805 Woodrow is perfect. You see the trees there, they're sycamores, they're maples, and they're majestic, and they give you the shade canopy you want to match the south side of the street. What we do on the power lines is that, Jeffrey alluded to it, just smaller ornamental trees. There's some maples there we can use. Arum, Marnium, I think, there are a few of them, Coosa dogwoods. We need a variety. I mean, it's a chance now to change that whole image of where we're going. We're looking at trees that are gone, people have to shade. To really put a beautiful street tree together, together with beautiful trees and streetscaping, and something we can all be proud of that's going to be for generations here next 40 or 50 years. Not just keep cutting them down and back. What are we going to do in the future? So I'm excited to do this. If anybody that lives on Woodrow wants to get involved, you can call Member Griffith or myself, and we'll get you on the committee, and we'll get this ironed out legally, you know, with the direction of our law director and some input with our administrator, Jim Davis. You know, we want to do the right thing by everybody and offer something here to be progressive. So thanks for everybody's comments and moving forward. Appreciate it.
Director Law?
Yes, Councilman Foltz asked me to look at the sidewalk ordinances. Did you want me to speak?
Yeah, if you want to give me some input now, please.
Sure. On what North Canton provides as far as repairing existing sidewalks. What we have as our ordinances is that it deals more with a street lot or street lots. And if the owners of property of at least 50% of the property living in the city block, if they agree that they wish to replace substandard sidewalks and the driveway approaches, that the city will share half of the cost of that. Property owners have to enter into an agreement with that. They have to pay that up front before it's completed. But it deals with half on a city block or 40% covering the distance of a 3-block radius. And I was asked to look at how that's different between some other municipalities. Because what we're looking at is kind of doing this as a group, as perhaps the entire street block. For individuals, if their sidewalk is broken or in a state of that's dangerous condition, our ordinance provides that they're wholly responsible for that. In fact, if the city has to repair that, they will assess the entire cost, and it's even a minor misdemeanor if you're cited for that and you don't effect the repair in a timely way. I look to Canton as its neighbor city, and it's a little bit different in that in the city of Canton, they also do a situation where the city will pay half of the repair and replacement, but the difference is at least in the ordinance, it doesn't indicate that they're looking for a bunch of agreement, consensus with a street. It appears that this is available for a resident who wishes to do this. And another unique part in this is that it's clear that the City of Canton will cover the cost of removing the existing substandard sidewalk, and the share of the cost is the remainder to replace it. Now, I compared that with a couple other neighbor cities of Louisville, Alliance, and Massillon, and all three of those appear to assess the entire cost of any replacement repairs for sidewalks in those municipalities, unless they enacted some recent ordinance that hasn't been updated as a codified ordinance. It appears there that 100% of the cost for repair and replacements are assessed to the property owners. And indeed, that's the way that if you are not a charter municipality, that if you simply rely on the revised code, there's provision in there that those costs are assessed to the property owners. There's two different chapters in there that can vary the way that the costs are assessed based on the type of model that they use. It's either just the length of the property or the benefit that they believe that's provided. But essentially, it's assessed to the property owner. There's some slight variances if the sidewalk needs to be replaced in an earlier period of time, then there's a bit of a cost-sharing benefit between residents and the taxpayer. But the ironic part about it is that most people don't understand or realize that if you don't have a charter, you rely on the revised code. But the Home Rule Amendment provides that even if you don't elect to have a charter, if you adopt an ordinance that's contrary to the revised code, under the Home Rule Amendment, you are permitted to have something that, so long as it's a matter of local concern, that is different than what you have in the revised code. So the irony is that the City of Canton, although it's not a charter municipality, has something slightly different in that they agree to pay at least half, and then 3 charter municipalities have decided to just simply adopt the revised code as their policy.
So that's something we should be discussing.
Right, definitely. I think we got
some ideas that make it easy for people. Maybe that's who people want to call. I mean, for an average person, if they get a letter and say they got to replace it, oh my God, I got to go find a concrete guy, I got to do all this stuff. Well, we need to have that information for them. Maybe a cost, maybe someone who will do all bars at a certain rate kind of thing. So it's real quick and easy for our residents to, because they're bad enough they have to pay for it. So if we can make it easy, a little customer service with that, I think we can get along a little bit better. As another comparison, if you're not a municipality, if you're in a township, the county rules are that the county engineer has the discretion for the curbs, gutters, and sidewalks to assess 100% or none. So you have a lot of leeway just as a charter municipality. This is what we have adopted thus far. It doesn't mean we can't amend that. You can go anywhere from 0 to 100%.
So we would be creative.
And I think the big distinction is what we have currently as ordinances is that requirement that you get 50% or 40% in that 3 block to effect a repair, but an individual is cited is 100%. It appears that in Canton, they still have that 50%, even if it's a single individual. And I think we all see that there are some streets, some houses that may have some sidewalks that are in need of repair that perhaps they wouldn't have the wherewithal to effect that type of repair. It might be a senior, might be some other reason for that, and perhaps if you wish, and it's certainly something that you don't want to cause it as a hazard for those walking in a high traffic area, perhaps they could apply and have something you can draft up in our ordinance that they qualify for something to help the city bear the expense of that repair for the sidewalk. All those things are available to you as a charter municipality.
I think some of that, I remember going way back with Rick McLaughlin, and we talked about this for hours. I think a lot of this sidewalk policy stemmed from, we were in the middle of doing curb and gutter, and there was so much need in our community that someone wanted a sidewalk somewhere. And we said, well, we're just replacing existing sidewalks during the curb and gutter program, because they need realigned. If you want new sidewalk, we're willing to go half with you. I mean, you gotta have, we're not just gonna do it in front of one residence. We wanna do it on the whole entire block. We need a consensus of people, because we're gonna ask you to pay half. Because we just don't have the money. And then the money actually wasn't as fruitful with the Hoover situation. So that's where that came. I don't remember repair work. I'll have to read that again, but that's where that came. You want most of the people on the street to want to participate. You're going to
pay for it, like some property tax assessments, or
we didn't talk. We never. No one ever really took advantage of it with us to discuss that. Someone came up and said, "Okay, we think half's a good deal." Nobody ever came up, and we had this in the paper for years.
And no one's ever taken it.
No, they never have.
Which,
That's new sidewalk. Existing, when you need to do 2 slabs on, say, Wood Road here and there, so that's a different situation. That's something like Mark indicated. Maybe get a contractor involved, say, it's going to cost you this much if he does it, pieces these out.
Because we don't go out and.
No, we don't expect it, but we probably should start.
Right, we don't, some letters say place.
Exactly.
It would be nice to know per square foot what it would run, so if I have 50 feet of frontage, it would be $2,600.
That's what we help with the contractor get a good price on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Some reputable in that city that.
I think it's worth talking.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks for your research.
Certified.
I just want to thank Mr. Davis for the presentation, and appreciate what American Bloom sent us, but that wasn't the reason why we did it. We did it to have outside experts come in, give us their opinion, and set some goals for us, and that's really why we did the program. So, just so that's not lost.
Yes. Yeah, Jim, very nice presentation. It is nice to get, an outside perspective, because we can all sit around and say how great we are.
Yeah.
Because we do love the city, it is a great city, but it's also good to get an objective perspective, which we try to do in everything we're doing. When it comes to the trees, as Chuck, you had mentioned about cutting down the trees, it's never, there's really, it's never a good thing to cut down any of the trees, especially when they're mature. But there are obviously 2 really clear reasons to cut down the trees in North Canton. And one is that we're working on the Hoover project, and we're trying to bring new jobs into the city to expand the parking. That is a reason to cut down trees, because our number one goal has always been the same for the past, going on 12 years. We have 2 primary goals administratively in every decision that we make. So we have to meet one or both of these criteria. And number 1 is, will this decision bring new jobs to the city? And if we meet that requirement, then the next objective is, will this improve cost efficiency and effectiveness? And because that's our other goal. And when you think about this, our income tax in the year 2000 was $7 million. In 2010, it dropped to 5.4 million. That's a 23% reduction in our income tax. That was a huge hit when the Hoover company left, and then we had the downturn in the economy. Just this past year, in 2015, this is the first time in 16 years that our income tax collection exceeded what it was 16 years ago. So when you look at all the work that this city has done, a great job with the Hoover company, We utilized millions of dollars in grants, millions of dollars to improve Main Street in grants. Mr. Benitez was able to obtain, this is well over what, 5 million, or we've added them all up? Yeah, over 7 million. And so, you know, we just know that the way that government is structured, and when you're trying to bring jobs to the city, you have to be very competitive. You've got to compete for the jobs, and we were able to do that mainly through grants. And we did use some of the taxpayers' money, but it is paying off. And again, taking down the trees, it is not a good thing. But what's more positive is that we added more jobs and we added more trees. So when we turned them down, we actually try to replace the same number or even more. So that's what our goal is. It's the same, to continue to bring jobs to the city, because that's what pays for our police, fire, EMS, road salt, snow plowing, everybody's salaries. I mean, you name it. That's what it's all about, is bringing jobs to the city so that we can serve the residents. And that's our goal. So that's what we're going to continue to do this year. And then one last thing, when we're looking at the signs, there is a plastic lumber company. I think I may have mentioned this to Mark Schmidt and possibly Doug Falls. They make signs out of recycled material. And they do it all over the country, but they're really a custom program. They've been around custom company, been around for a long time. Bright Ideas. Bright Ideas. Yeah. So if we do any, we use any new signs, we could use grant money to pay for the recycled portion. So something to think about. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks for reminding us about that. I mean, I think we need to keep saying it. You do it very well, and thanks to you and the administration and all those past council people before. But that is why we're here. And there are many cities that have never gotten back to that mark from the decline that they had over those years, and that's a huge testament. And because of all.
And this council did not raise the income tax. If you look at the capital reports or the financial reports of most of the cities, you know how they overcame their shortfall? They raised their income tax. I don't have the exact percentage, but Laura, I'm sure you could probably take a guess. But there's a lot of municipalities, the only thing that they can do is raise their income tax.
Or get rid of the credit, right?
What's that?
Or get rid of the credit. A lot of that.
Right, or just, that's right. Trust the full credit. And we did neither of those.
And, the paper did a great article. They were the front page again. And in the paper about all the good things that are happening over there and respecting heritage and what they're doing and what developers, I mean, I don't think Mr. Osborne had the opportunity to go through that building, but great things are happening there. And they're also happening in the village. And actually, football is not a pastime. And when Mr. Baker speaks, I think if you look at TV ratings, they have the top 11 channels. So I don't think it's going away. It's going to help all of our community and all of Northeast Ohio. And we're really lucky to have people that want to invest in our community and start coming. Thank you.
Mayor, I'm glad you addressed the trees. Specifically, why they were taken down was to move that parking lot closer and add more spaces, which is, each parking space is a job, it's paying taxes. So, I think it's important to note, was it Dr. Michaels?
Mike Thomas.
Mike Thomas, who actually donated the trees along Maple, and then the rocks, the Bartels nursery, put them in. They volunteered to put them in. So, okay. Those are young saplings, but 5 to 10 years, that whole corridor is going to be beautiful.
But it looks nice now.
It does.
It's dry, it's
Absolutely.
it's clean. They do a nice job.
I've never seen the leaves on so long this year. I mean, the leaves just fell off like a minute ago.
It's the water.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Engineer.
No report.
Director Permits? Nothing. Madam Clerk, your last chance.
I do not have anything to say.
Outstanding. Final call